Hello everyone and welcome to yet another recreational programming session with Mr. Azuzi. I just realized that I haven't been developing my chatbot for quite some time, and chatbot is this thing that is sitting in the Twitch chat, and not only Twitch chat, also Discord chat. It's actually the same program. It just listens to two streams. So one from Twitch and another one from Discord, and just responds to the command, right? And this is the thing that responds to this kind of commands. It has different kind of commands. I think it also has a weather command. You can check your weather. It calls to a separate service, which is down probably right now. As you can see, it doesn't respond at all. Though the bot is actually, okay, as you can see, it actually responded. So it has a lot of different commands, and it's kind of cool, right? And I kind of abandoned development of this chatbot for quite some time because I was busy with different things. And today I've got an interesting idea. What if I integrate a text editor into the chatbot? Right, so there is this text editor called ed. Right, so some of the Linux nerds know about this text editor, but hyper-oriented developers that only heard about Visual Studio Code and the latest JavaScript framework, they probably never heard about this text editor. Right, so it's a text editor that is sort of like a predecessor to Vim, and a lot of weirdness of Vim actually based on the shortcuts of ed. ed is sort of like the original Unix editor that Ken Thompson developed. Right. So this one by GNU is actually not the original one, right? So it's a reimplementation of GNU. But it is inspired and kind of like based on the original text editor for Unix. And what's interesting about this text editor is that it's not interactive. Not visual, I would say. It is interactive, but it is not visual. When you start ed, this is it. You may think that it kind of stuck in some sort of no. This is the editor actually, right? So, and if you try to just do something, it always responds with question mark. Right, like it's just like no matter what, you can't even quit it. You try Control C, you can't. It's even worse than Vim. You know the meme like how do I quit Vim? Try to quit this shit. Right. So so the way you quit it is you put Q. Sounds familiar, isn't it? Kind of said Q stuff like that. It's again a lot of weirdness of Vim is based on ed. Like, in fact, a lot of shortcuts of ed are kind of like Vim, right? So let's actually experiment with it. So let's actually try to write a simple hello world in it. I'm gonna go to somewhere like here, ed hello world, right? So this is going to be ed hello world, and the way you do that, you just like do it like that. You open a file, and there you go. The file has been opened. It doesn't exist yet, but it has been opened nonetheless. So to go into the insertion mode, there's several modes in here. There's a command mode and insertion mode. Sounds familiar, right? You press A. It doesn't even respond to anything, right? So that's how weird it is. You just have to know how to use this editor, right? So you press A, and now everything you type is going to go into the file, into the buffer, into the current buffer, right? So let's actually include stdio, right? So let's create a main function, right? And let's do hello world. So here is hello world like this, and let's also return 0, and let's close the curly braces. So to exit the insertion mode, you press dot, right? So between these two things, we actually inserted some text, right? And now we can save this text. And finally, this motherfucker printed something. Holy fucking shit. So it printed that it saved 83 characters to the file system, right? So we can now exit this entire thing. We can open it up, right? And here is the main with 83 bytes. We can cut this thing, and there you go. We have the file, right? So we can open it again and stuff like that. As you can see, it says that it loaded 83 bytes. One of the things it has, it can actually call external shell commands, just like Vim. And just like in Vim, it's actually exclamation mark. Right, with exclamation mark, you can actually print any shell command, and it will call an external shell command, right? So for example, like in checkpots currently in a current folder and stuff like that. So essentially what I can do, I can now try to compile this program from within ed. I just compiled the program, right? And then I can now run my program from within ed. It's hello world. for instance, I now want to replace hello world with something else, but I can't see shit in this mist. Right, I can't see shit in this mist. So essentially, ed has the current cursor, right, and you can't see it, but it's there actually. So you can actually print what's under the current cursor, the line under the current cursor. Right, the line under the current cursor is this one. You can move to any line. You can just press you can just type in the line that you want to go to, right? And you went to this line. You can actually press enter and you go to the next line, to the next line, to the next line, and you reached this line in here. So what you can do is now you can replace something within that line using regular expressions. Now I want to replace hello world with full bar, like this. So, and if I now print the current line, it's full bar. I can now save this entire thing. I can recompile this entire shit, main.c, and I can run this entire stuff, and it's now full bar. So as you can see, you can do development in this text editor. You can't see shit, right? But you can do development, right? So you can navigate around and stuff like that. So what's interesting is that you can also search for things. For example, I don't want to step each individual line. I want to just straight up find foo. I put slash foo, and I found a line. Right, so now maybe I want to replace bar with comma buzz, right? So, and it's going to be like that, save it. And it doesn't really have like a read line interface or anything like that. I have to retype all of the commands one more time, right? So, and now it's, I fucked up the replacement. I was supposed to actually replace it with bar buzz. I wanted to do full bar buzz, but anyway. So what's interesting is that like there's different ways to print things, right? So I can type 1 and instantly print, right? So, or I can actually print the range from 1 to 3, right? So there you go, here is the range from 1 to 3. So there's also print command that also prints lines, like this, right? So you can see the actual lines. And if you don't provide the ends of the ranges, it actually prints the entire file with all of the lines and stuff like that. So you can actually see the whole file if you want to, right? So interesting is that you can go to the line 4 and go instantly into the insertion mode like this and start inserting things. For example, I want to print this entire thing like n times. Let's say I want to print it 10 times, like so. Right, so I'm going to do it like that. Boom, let's take a look at the file. And as you can see, I appended this new loop in here. So now it will print that 10 times. So that's basically ED. This is how Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie originally were developing Unix and programming in C. They were not using Vim or any visual text or anything. They wrote the entirety of this shit like this. I'm not even fucking joking. Like, they wrote an entire fucking Unix like this. So, programmers are not that productive anymore, aren't they? Right? So, imagine reading everything like this. They fucking did. It's pretty cool. But it's kind of simplistic, right? It's kind of simplistic, but at the same time, its simplicity allows you to do some cool shit. For example, I can see implementing a ChatBot command that acts like ED. What if we literally had like a ChatBot command called ED, right? So something like ED, and you could just like type the ED command in there. And everyone had their personal opened file, which they can navigate, right? So you do something like EDA, right? And you go into the insertion mode. Then you do ED, like, I don't know, like insert some stuff, right? So include stdio, blah, 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 and it will insert that line and go to the next line, right? So when you continue adding stuff and then you do ED dot, right? And it will just like save that file. And that's gonna stay in a database, right? So forever. You can store some stuff in there, right? So, and every user has their own file. So that's kind of cool. So there's different use cases for this kind of thing. For instance, you can, for example, store links in there, right? Some sort of like a bookmark links. And then you know that the link that you're interested in is on the line 5, right? So you can do ED 5p. And it will print the link on the line 5, right? Because it will actually go there and stuff like that. So this is what I decided to implement today. So it doesn't sound that difficult to implement, honestly. Right, so I was thinking how exactly we're going to approach this thing. So we could actually just implement a small subset of ED, or run like an actual GNU ED as a external process and sort of like sandbox it and stuff like that. I think using actual ED is kind of difficult in the sense that it introduces too large of an attack vector, right? So because it's a additional moving part, right? So you have to spend some time isolating it, right? So and then it has some features that are not desirable, so you need to kind of like suppress them, you know, remove them or something like that. So it's kind of, you start with a full editor, and then you have to cut off these things that like you don't need. It's better to actually go inside out, right? So it's better to go inside out and just implement a small subset of the features that you actually need. And honestly, I think the ED is rather simple text editor that it's not that difficult to do. Like we can start with, right, very basic functionality, maybe insertion mode, right? So then navigating by lines and printing lines. Right, something like that. It can also delete the lines, by the way. So believe it or not, deleting lines, so I can find return, for instance, is actually D. And there we go, I just removed it. So it, like you may think that using this text editor is kind of slow, but look how quickly I just deleted a line, right? I can go like this, and I deleted include. It's actually super efficient. It's faster than Visual Studio Code. Got him. Yeah, so if you get used to it, you can be extremely efficient. For instance, like if you have a compiler error, right, some sort of a compiler error, you can quickly jump to the line in a compiler error by just typing the number of the line. It is super quick. So can you delete everything like this? Does it delete everything? Oh yeah, it does delete everything. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for deleting my fucking program. I really appreciate it. Anyways. Right. Got him. Fucking got him. So yeah, let's go ahead and fucking try to implement this entire thing. So our bot is called Gatekeeper. I completely forgot about it. The chatbot that Thompson doesn't want you to know about. Right, so it's a gatekeeper. It even has a gaslighter, which is a bot configuration command line tool which works by connecting to the bot database and modifying it. Okay. Oh, it's so I can modify the database without issuing any commands. That's why it's called gaslighter, right? Because something within the bot has changed, but you don't know what. So it's possible to create DMs inside of Twitch chats. Do I look like a Twitch support or something? Like, I don't fucking know, bro. Anyway, so here's the thing. So I think I managed to build it. Right, so here is an executable that we got in here. Unfortunately, I can't run it on my machine. Right, unfortunately, I can't run it on my machine. So we're gonna be running it on production. Right, so I mean, Twitch bot. I don't fucking know. I think it doesn't support DMs right now. I don't think it does. And personally, I don't recommend you to use this bot because I actually developed it entirely for myself. Right, I had zero intention to make it reusable for anybody else. There is a lot of shit that is hard-coded specifically for my channel. So I don't think it's easy to use for anyone else. Right, it's just like I don't have resources to maintain a chatbot that is reusable for everyone. I'm just making it for myself. Deploying directly to production, yeah, that's another thing that we're going to be doing. Like your Twitch API key. Love it. Like, I'm hard coding a lot of things, but not that specifically, okay? Right, so there are some things that I refrain to hard code. So anyways, let's go ahead and fucking do that. So let's maybe start with introducing the command. So what do we have in here? So this is the different commands and shit like that. So, oh yeah, this is not commands. This is actually functions, believe it or not. Right, this is actually functions. So the bot has its own built-in programming language that is based on Bex, I think. Right, so gitlab.com, Sodium Bex. I think it's still available on GitLab. Yeah. So this is what we're using here essentially. So it's a simple custom scripting language, right? So that looks like this, right? It has only like 4 elements: strings, integers, variables, and phone calls. Right, and here is a simple interpreter written in Go. So, and essentially the way we use this simple programming language is that we define commands through that language, right? So in a database, there is a table, right, called commands, and it maps the name of the command to a BEX expression. And when you call that command, that BEX expression is interpreted with the BEX interpreter, right? And different functions that you use in that BEX expression are actually these Go functions that I implemented. So for example, you can do say, right? So I can define a command like something like foo, and its BEX expression is going to be say foo. Right, you can actually say it at an author, right? So you can use a variable author, and it will actually create like, you know, say this specific thing. It will say whoever sent this command plus this message. This is the way, by the way, I implemented the today command, right? So if you try to do today, it prints at you and then some sort of a text. Right, so if you take a look at the BEX expression of this entire thing, let me quickly actually go to here and just select from commands where name is equal to today. Right, so I'm just actually doing queries on production, by the way, right now. And that will give you the following expression that I need to copy paste super quick. Right, so here is the expression that looks like this. Right, so it says, yeah, so this is actually kind of cool. I forgot about that. Right, so it's either input or author. Input is the argument of the command. Input is the argument of the command, and author is whoever sent this command. So essentially, if you provide the argument for the command, instead of saying author, it will say that thing that you provided as an argument. This is needed. Guess why this is needed? This is needed to redirect that to somebody, right? So if you just do today on yourself, right? So just like that, it will add you, but then you can add somebody, and this command will add that somebody instead of you. So this is the sort of like the scripting language that allow you to sort of configure, slightly tweak the behavior of the commands and stuff like that. Right, so, and it's a custom scripting language like that, super fucking simple, right? So, and it has a lot of additional like functions and commands and stuff like that. So it's actually super cool. I wonder why I stopped developing these things. Like I look into it and it's kind of cool. I should continue developing it. It's actually, I actually kind of like it. So it has commands like URL encode, right? So for example, you can do maybe something like URL encode input, right? URL encode input, and then embed that into some sort of like a HTML. Right, so that makes sense, right? So this is something that we use. Another one that we have in here, like here's the OR, right? So here's the OR, here's the author. There's also year, right? So this one is actually kind of funny. I think the year, how we use year is for the still command, like still go, right? So you can say go in 2024. Imagine using go in 2024. Holy fucking shit. So, and essentially this command uses the year variable, actually year function, right? So, and next year, after January 1st, it's gonna automatically switch to 2025. Right, because it's in BEX expression, like it's going to automatically do that. Right, so this is how fucking cool our bot is. So to do this kind of stuff, people usually do that in dynamic scripting languages and stuff like that, but this is like a very simple scripting language that is specifically designed to, you know, to work as a chatbot command thingy. Oh, this one is actually super interesting. So Twitch or Discord. Twitch or Discord. So essentially this is a function that accepts 2 expressions, A and B, right? So, and essentially what it does, if you call this command on Twitch, it is going to execute expression A, but if you call it on Discord, it's going to execute expression B. So this is needed, so the same command works differently depending on where you call it, either Twitch or Discord. Man, this is such a fucking cool project. Why I forgot about it? Like, yeah, so this is actually kind of cool. Like every time I look at my old projects and it's just like thinking, damn, did I fucking make it? Did I fucking make it? Apparently I made it. That's so fucking cool. Anyways, so this is like different, and this is like functions, right? So commands and functions are two separate things, right? So, and as of right now, we want to introduce a new command, not really a function. We want to introduce a command. So functions are used to define like a custom commands. On top of custom commands, we also have hard-coded built-in commands because some of the things are kind of difficult to do through the Bex language. So yeah, so did I add this thing to the description? I think I should add it to the description, like so. Anyways. So I need to find where we have different commands. I don't remember what was the built-in command. I think one of the built-in commands is something like profile. Yeah, so for example, there is a pretty cool command called profile, right, which executes the commands and then tells you how long it took to execute this command. Right, so and I think it's got him! You think I will allow to use this command for everybody? Haha! No, anyway, so essentially, I think it's a built-in command, right? So it's not really defined as a Bex expression. So let me actually grab this motherfucker. It should be something like a profile, right? So yeah, there we go. Case profile, and this is how we have built-in commands, like literal switch cases. So OP, polymorphism, I'm just road dogging fucking switch cases. Like, bro, like, why nobody develops shit like that? Seriously. Like, you have a bot, it has a command, on different commands it does different shit. Switch case, command name, case, that command, do that shit. Another case, do that shit. Actual bun. I have a command actual bun, holy fuck. So that's how software has to be developed. That's how software has to be fucking developed. Right, so and the actual bun is like we have a bun, we can ban everybody, but it's a fake bun. Not bun, but ban or ban. English. How do you say? I think you say ban, right? It's like a black, bad, ban. Not bun, but ban. Right. Do I understand how vowels works in English correctly? Because again, English is not my first language. So you guys have too many vowels. I think you guys have too many vowels. So you have to reduce the amount of vowels in your language, seriously. So anyway, right. So there's just a fake bun, and there's an actual bun. Wow. Anyways, so what we're gonna do in here, what we're gonna do. So there's a search. I don't remember what it's used for. There's an eval. Oh, bro, I can actually evaluate Bex. I think I can actually evaluate Bex. I can say your mom. Yo! I can actually demonstrate all of this shit. I forgot about that. So what's funny is that, okay, so I can do eval input, but it's not gonna do anything, right? Because it doesn't say anything. So if I do eval say input, but here's the funny thing. The input of the eval command is itself. So the simplest quine in Bex is say input. Holy fucking shit. So you can do quines in this language, right? So because it said say input and it's actually printed itself. Right, so that's kind of cool. So then I can do eval say author, right? So eval say author, and it adds myself, right? So and then I can do eval say author, so hello, right? Something like this, and it just like says hello to me. Nobody except me can use this command, by the way, because it's kind of dangerous command, right? So it's kind of a dangerous command. But anyway. So this is probably where we're going to be adding a new command, which is going to be just like a case. ed is nuts. Sorry. So what we're going to do in here, I suppose we're going to just say a message saying something to you. Right, so ed is nuts. So dub. Right, and then we're gonna just return. So let me see if this entire shit is even compilable, right? So I'm gonna just go ahead and compile this stuff. Okay, it is compilable. So you know what I'm thinking? I think I need to create a separate branch. So I'm gonna create ed, right? So, and then, oh, this one is interesting. So here's the thing. So if I run another instance of the bot right now, right? So I'm running another instance of the bot. So the second bot is kind of working, it's kind of working. And if you do ping, right, so, doesn't seem to be working, does it seem to be twerking? I'm actually kind of confused. Yeah, I think I did a fucky wacky. Ooh. ED, yeah, so ED doesn't exist yet, chat. ED doesn't exist, so I have to be... I don't quite understand what the fuck is going on, so let me just see. Yeah. So I'm just... It looks like I can't connect. It looks like I can't connect with the second bot. And if I try to do that, so did we? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So there were some problems. So as you can see, both instances of the bot, they kind of compete, right? So because they use the same prefix for the command, right? As far as I know, we can customize the prefix if I remember how to do that correctly. So let me kill the second instance of the bot, right? So the second instance is killed, and now I can try to find my prefix command, right? So I think it's something like prefix or whatever. So command, yeah, here it is, command prefix. So it's either dollar or exclamation mark. I even recently created a to-do to actually make it customizable via the database. So I suppose we can use something like, I don't know, maybe this kind of thing, right? So that's what we're going to be using as a prefix. Right, so let me double check if this entire thing compiles super quick. Right, so and let's do a committee introduce ed command. Right, I'm gonna push that right into the repo chat. Do you feel my push? Do you feel my commit in your repo? Sorry. So let me fetch all the stuff from the server. Let me find it from the server. I haven't deployed it yet. Chat, calm down. Chat, calm down. I haven't deployed it yet, so I'm gonna check out to the new branch. The ed, and I also need to rebuild this entire scheisse locally. Right, I'm rebuilding it locally, slowly, carefully rebuilding it locally. It has been rebuilt locally, and I'm starting the second instance. So now if I do ed is nuts, dub. Oh, got him, ed is nuts. Oh, ho, ho. So we got the command, chat. We're working, so we can end-to-end make changes and actually deploy it in production and test it right on the fucking stream. Also using the test database, so we don't damage the production database and stuff like that. So that's pretty fucking progress. Well, I mean, it is a production server, right? Time to liquor psyche. That's why I rarely stream the bot development, because it gives me anxiety. Thank you. Thank you everyone for triggering my anxiety. So by the way, the second bot, it doesn't have anything on it. Any command is configured except for the ed command, right? So, well, I mean, all of the built-in commands work, right? So, but there is no additional custom commands that you use backs and stuff like that. Right. So there we go. So we have ed's nuts. So that's pretty cool. I'm really proud of ourselves. So how are we going to be doing all of that, chat? How are we going to be doing all of that? So I suppose we need to introduce the notion of the text editor, right? Somehow, right? So I forgot where was the ed, right? So the ed was probably somewhere here. It's kind of interesting. What I notice is that as soon as you learn the art of grabbing and finding ed now. That was so much better. For those who don't speak Russian, иди нахуй literally means go fuck yourself in Russian. So, why didn't I think about that? Thank you so much. That's so fucking. Why didn't I think about it? This is such a perfect fucking joke. Thank you. Thank you, whoever in the chat suggested. I apologize. It's just like, you know. Anyways. Wow, this is what I hear and say. Now you know what it means. Now you know what it means. That's what it means. Not even joking. So it literally translates. If you take each individual word in that sentence and translate it, id means go to, right? And nahuy means towards dick, right? So if you literally translate it, it means go towards dick. But in terms of meaning, it actually means go fuck yourself, right? So essentially, when you invite somebody to go towards a dick, you are suggesting them to go fuck themselves. So that's how it works, essentially, right? Go towards dick is a banger, though. Yeah. So we need to store the text somewhere, right? So we need to store a text somewhere. So we need to maybe have some sort of a variable, I think. Right, so let me split the screen and go towards the func definition here. So ed buffer, right? This is going to be a string. So maybe we need to have some sort of a string builder, right? So that's definitely something that we need to do. Or if you think about it, it's a line-oriented editor. Right, so it's a line-oriented editor. Maybe because of that, this has to be an array of strings. Right, so this is going to be ed buffer, and it's going to be an array of strings. So this way, we can append more and more different strings and stuff like that. I think one of the things we can do in here is just like do something like this, right, and it automatically kind of encodes the type and stuff like that. Interestingly, we also need to keep track of the current like ed cursor, right? So it has to be some sort of a cursor. And on top of that, it has to be also some sort of a mode, right? So ed mode. And as far as I know, like how do you do you know, enumerations in Go? So I think it's sort of like a constant. Right, so you start with ad insert mode, right? So which is going to be in like 0, right? And then ed command mode, which is like iota or iota or something. Is that how we do that? I don't quite remember. Golang enumerations. Golang enumerations makes sense to me. But I always kind of forget how exactly syntactically you do that. I have nothing against Go enumerations semantically, right? Nothing against them semantically, but syntactically they sometimes a little bit weird for me, right? So it's a constant, right? So then you put a type in here, right? So essentially I'm going to do ed insertion mode integer, right? And it's initially 0, and then for I have to actually put iota here. And I suppose any consequent definition is going to be incrementing and stuff like that, right? So I suppose that makes sense to me. Right, so, and in here, you are originally in the command mode. Right, so this is basically the entirety of the state of the ed buffer, iota. I don't really know how to pronounce this word. So iota. I think that's a good way to pronounce it. Like it has to be iota. Io. Asynchronous IO. Iota. Async iota. But this is only one instance of ed. Right. So every user must have their own states, their own ed. Right. They must have their own ed. Because of that, I think this has to be some sort of a structure, right? So it's going to be something like type. What is that? Yeah, ed. And it's going to be a struct, and it's going to have all of these things in here, right? So instead of, since it's inside of ed, it's just like a buffer, cursor, and so on and so forth. So it's something like this. A cursor is an integer, and mode is also an integer. Well, I just realized that you don't put quotes here. Sorry. So all the languages mixed up in my head, right? So I honestly, I've been programming so many different languages that they basically look the same for me, right? So it's just like, yeah, it's the same shit. How do I do this thing in that specific language, right? So I don't keep track of them anymore, honestly. Ed mode, right? So this one is going to be ed mode, right? So this is basically ed. Let's call it state, right? And depending on like the user, we're going to have different states and stuff like that. So I suppose we need to introduce some sort of a variable, which is going to be eds. And it is going to be a map from a string. And I'm going to assume that the string is going to be the author identifier, right? So the nickname or something like that. And we're going to map it to ed state. Right, so essentially we have a global map of ed states, right? All of them, they have like their own buffer, their own cursor, their own mode, and so on and so forth. So the first thing you do when you get ed command is that you look up that specific user within the eds, right? You grab their state, then you take the command, right? You take the command that the user provided and you apply that command to the ed state, which kind of means that there should be a function which is called something like exec command, right? So maybe exec ed command, which accepts ed state, right? So this is going to be ed state, and the command, which is going to be some sort of a string. So it's going to be let's call it command. So this is a string. I think it's not capitalized. And yeah, so it modifies the state accordingly to the string that you provided in here. And furthermore, I feel like it has to be method, right? So okay, so let's stop with the idinahu jokes. They're funny like one time, but several times it's just like, eh. Okay, so this is how you do the methods, right? So if I understand correctly, this is how you do the methods. So let's quickly do that. So it's going to be ed state, and then we're going to do just like an exec command. And I think we have to actually accept it by a pointer, right? So, oh, by the way, we're programming in Go, and ed is go in Russian. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with all that. So, sus, yeah. What? Coincidence? I think not. How neat is that? Exactly. How neat is that? Mind blown. So I don't really know how exactly we're going to be doing this kind of thing, but I suppose we're going to just like ignore it for now. I'm going to just ignore it for now. One other thing we can do though, we can do something like, oh, this is so fucking cool. We can actually also do the same dick move as the original GNU ed does, is that if it doesn't recognize command, it returns you a question mark. Holy fuck. I love it. So yeah, so the ed command is literally going to be always your question marking you. Peak design, exactly. Let's fucking do that. So can I just do that? So it's going to be question mark. But to be fair, maybe we have to actually accept a command environment, right? So exec command. And when you evaluating the built-in command, what you have is usually the command environment. So here's the thing. This is the ed command specifically, and we're in the middle of evaluating the ChatBot command. So there's a little bit of a collision between the terminology a little bit. So that's kind of annoying, I would say. So the way you say anything, you say that through the environment, right? So this is the command environment. So let's pass the environment here as well, right? And this is what will allow this entire thing to actually, for example, send message environment at author, and just question mark. So while we are evaluating the ed state, we can just tell the user like something if we encountered an error or something else, right? So we can just like, so through this command environment. Right, in command environment, I think it's a polymorphic thing, right? So on Twitch, it implements one thing, on Discord, it implements another thing, right? Depending on where the command was called, it's just like it's a different environment, right? So we have a little bit of an OP going on in here, right? So people see me programming in like a hardcore C and they assume that I know nothing about like OP patterns or anything like that. Guys, I've been working like 7 years in Java Enterprise. So this is the very reason why I'm programming in low-level C, because I'm so fucking sick of this shit. Okay? Right, so that's how low-level C developers get born. People think that they're just old cranky men who just can't accept the new reality. It's just like, oh, they're just stuck in that old. No. Usually it's the people who worked on a cutting-edge technology at some time ago and they got so fucking sick of this bullshit, they went back to Monkey. Right, so just like it's me essentially. Right, that's why I program in C. I program in C because I know too much about real software development, whatever the fuck it is. Anyways, thank you so much for all of the subs. Thank you. Badonka69, I really like your nickname. Thank you so much for Twitch Prime. Olex Rise, thank you so much for tier 1 with the message. Ah! Thank you. So, what we're gonna be doing? Let me quickly do the following things. So this is ed, and we need to take the author, honestly. Like, how do we take the author? So we have @author, but that's not ideal, in all honesty. That is not ideal. And also, an @author on Discord is actually different, right? So it uses stupid Discord syntax, right? So do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like on Discord, there's such a stupid syntax for ads and stuff like that. Right. So thank you so much, Kwakislav, for tier 1 subscription with the message: reject Javernity, embrace tradition. I see what you did there. I see what you did there, my comrade. So essentially. Yeah, so you can do something like eval say author, right? So eval say author, and it adds you. But then I think you can, if you just copy paste this thing, right, and you do something like code, right? So zezin, right? So you do code. There we go. So it's basically escapes this entire thing. So internally, Gatekeeper actually does this thing. So it uses this ID. And do we really want to use like this as an identifier for the thing? I think yes, right. I didn't see any much other difference to do that. I think that's what we want to use as an identifier, at least for now. Let's just go for it. So we're going to use @author. And @author, let me find the definition of @author. I think it's somewhere here. So I'm going to do grep RE. @author, where is the func? @author, and it literally returns a string. We have Cyrilify environment. Oh yeah, there's different kind of environments and shit like that that stack together. Oh my god, I completely forgot about that. That's so fucking cool. Anyways, right, so that means it's a string. Where was that? Command. Yeah, so here it is. So eds. What I want to do, I want to do environment @author. So the author called this command, and now we need to take its ed. But what's interesting is that, does it get it by a pointer or anything like that? Right, so I also remember there was something like OK that lets you check that you actually get this thing or anything like that. So let me do golang get value of map by reference and check if it exists. Don't judge me, I don't program in Go very often, so don't fucking judge me. So yeah, value okay, but then right, so how does it get it by reference? Is it by reference if I do it like that? I don't really know. So you can also do something like this. If this okay, we just do that. But if it's not, we kind of need to create a new one. But interestingly, I suppose if I do something like this, does it create it automatically at val? So that's what I have to do. But I don't believe you. You're just a random person in the chat. I don't believe you. Anyway, so this is what I'm going to try to do. And essentially, what we're going to do is just like an exec command, and then we have to get the input. Is it something like input, or is it environment argument? I don't remember. So the eval expression. I didn't see it. So evaluate bars. Oh, it's args. Right, so it's basically args, and we just shove this entire thing in here. Right, so that's what we're trying to do. It always returns type, so it's a map of strings. It returns string, not pointer. What the fuck are you talking about? Really? Oh, it's a map of strings. No, what? It's a map that accepts string as a... I swear to God, why am I reading the chat? Stop debating me. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Bots, ban. Perm ban. So, and on top of that, we have to do something like this. We also have to supply the environment. All right. So now, if I try to build this entire thing, it doesn't really build properly because we declared in this block. Because the type is here. Okay, so let's go to the compilation errors. This one, yeah, so let's concatenate this entire thing. Cannot use command args as a command environment, so this is because this has to be in the other end, and there go, everything seems to be compiling. One of the things we probably can do in here is that we can check whether the command is equal to, for example, A. Right, and if it's equal to the A, we want to switch ed to an insertion mode, right? So it's going to be ed insert mode. But what's interesting is that it only makes sense if you do that while being in command mode, right? So that's basically going to be the idea. But the question is, how do you do switch cases? Golang switch. I think it's just switch. You do switch. And then you do ed mode, right? So, and then you have a case and stuff like that. So switch case, yeah, it's a regular switch case, nothing particularly special. So ed command mode, if you are in a command mode and the command is actually A, right? So you typed A, we switch to the insertion mode and that's it. Otherwise, if this is something else, we just tell you question mark. Right, we just tell you question mark. If you are in insertion mode, right, if you're currently in insertion mode and you typed something like dot, you probably don't have to put this stuff in here, right, so you don't have to put this stuff in here. We're switching back to the command mode, right, ed command mode. Otherwise, I suppose we don't print anything because what you're supposed to do in here, right, is essentially insert stuff into the buffer, right? So it's going to be to do insert stuff into the buffer like this. So that's basically what we're doing. So this is the high level functionality of ed, right? It's high level functionality of ed. So right now, whatever you insert into there is going to be lost, right? So, but that's like the first approximation of this entire stuff. So the thing we want to test is, does it preserve the state? Right, so that's the first thing I want to check. Does it preserve the state? Because I'm still not sure if whatever I'm doing in here, right, so actually returns you by a pointer. What's interesting is that, can I just like take a pointer like this? I think I should be able to. Yeah, so can I take address of this map index expression of type ed state? Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. But can I, for instance, do something like this? Right. I think I should be able to. Cannot call pointer method. That's an interesting, like, how do you modify the values of the map? Right, so how do you modify the values of the map? Right, if I just like want to take this thing and like apply transformation on it, do I literally Make the value in the map a reference. Oh, really? Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, yeah, it's freaking. Okay, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go then. So it has to be something. Okay. So that means I really need to check if it exists or not, right? So and if it doesn't exist, I just do something else. And it's like, is this really how you Go developers do that? Right, bro. I literally just tried that, and it said that you can't take a reference of this thing, bro. You forgot being subtle, bro. You forgot being subtle. Right, you didn't see that we literally just tried that. And it didn't work. And I remember that. You have to be more subtle than this. You know what? It's 2 hours. You must be more subtle than this. I'm sorry. You know, you need to step up your game. You really need to fucking step up your game. Disappointed. So fucking disappointed. Anyways. Now. Go where? Yeah. Yeah, so that means we have to check and everything, and it's kind of annoying, honestly. Yeah, it's kind of annoying. So if I try to do something like this, yeah, but that means that some of them can be null, right? So essentially, one of the things we can do, so okay, ed like this, and if not okay, ed has to be ed now. I can't help myself, I'm just sorry. So this is probably something that we want. Fuck. Invalid, it's the other way around. Invalid ed state. I think that's a good solution. I think that's actually a good solution. Right, look at that beauty. So, yeah. What's interesting is that we can make it even cooler. It's just like, if ed equal to nil, we do it like that. I think that's even cool because that gets rid of the okay. So another thing I would like to do is that maybe we can take the length of the ed states. All right, so let's actually introduce something like ed count. Right, so this is going to be ed count, and it should just return you like how many currently ed states exist, right? So let's actually say something like send message, and I think I can do something like fmt as printf, so it's going to be s. So there are currently d ed states, right? So every time somebody issues the command, it creates a new ed state, right? So, and I just want to see how many of them through the command, right? So it's going to be add author. So this is add author, and we can do something like eds. Can you see what I'm doing right now? I don't think so. Eds len. Right. So I hope that's how you do that. And I'm going to just do return. So let me recompile this entire thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and just commit that and deploy that right into production. Right, so introduce ed states. Right, I'm going to push that right into the repo, I have not redeployed yet, chat. I have not redeployed yet. So I'm gonna fetch the latest thingy, Majingi. Right, so and I suppose I'm also gonna merge the ed, right, and I'm gonna also rebuild. Honestly, I don't have to rebuild. I can just do go run, and I think that's a sufficient thing to do. Right, so here's ed, and ed. Oh, it crashed. Oh, hell yeah! Damn. So yeah, that's actually super cool. So it crashed with a null pointer exception. So it crashed with null pointer exception at command 646 here. Is it really? No, I didn't think so. It's actually 415. Yeah. Are you for real? Guys, I know how to program, okay? I know how to program. I know programming. Right. Look, I'm currently streaming as well, okay? So it's kind of difficult to do actual software development on prod, by the way, on prod, and like you know, it's hard, okay? It's hard. Right. So all of that compiles. Right. So fix null pointer exception. Right. So I'm gonna just push that one more time. We're gonna celebrate. I'm gonna merge and I'm gonna fucking run this big. Fucking run this big. Fucking run this big. Yeah, ed count. Yeah, so there's no zero states, and yep. And it actually silently doesn't do anything. It actually silently doesn't do anything. I wonder why though. So we do exec command. So it's environment and just like depending on the mode. Is that because we are in some sort of a weird mode? If we are, because we are in insertion mode. I see. Right, so we have to put dot in here and then, only then, fuck, it doesn't work. Like, why? Huh. That's bizarre. I didn't expect that, so why would it be like that? So there's something with this shit, right? There's something with this shit. And if it's null, right? Ah, because it's stupid, right? Because I'm an idiot. Okay. So it's more like ed and add author. So ed state like this. So we create a new one, and then ed's environment add author equal to that. So I think that's what we want to do actually in here. I think that's what we want to do. Okay. Go maps are hard. I'm gonna push that right to the repo. Chat. Shut up, chat. Shut up. Finally, it works. Yeah. But unfortunately, it's currently in insertion mode. So you have to put dot to exit the insertion mode, and then you can put some weird commands, and it will answer you with question mark. Right. So that's one of the sort of like mistakes I've made. Stupid fucking mistakes, man. Right. So that happens. So let's do state. Let's fucking go in there. And essentially, what I have to do, I have to say that the command is the original thing. It's the command that is the original thing, and this is the insert mode. Right, so this is the insert mode, essentially. Okay, cool. Now, we have everything laid down, essentially, right? So make command mode the default. I'm going to push that right into the repo. It's not going to redeploy or anything, but it's going to be just in the repo. Now, right, so if we take a look at this stuff, ed count, how many ed counts? We have 13 so far, right? So only 13 people try to use this command. The rest of the people don't know how to use ed. So how do you insert something in the middle of the thing, right? So go insert element into slice. So insert a value in a slice at a given index. Right, so is that a thing? So there is a slices insert. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I can do go doc slices insert. Right, so that's one of the things we can do. Holy shit, oh, I forgot about that. So it's a generics, it's a go generics. It's arrays, man. I mean, it's slices. right? So it's not a race. You don't know anything about Go, man. You know anything about Go. Right, so I wonder if there is like a generic like vector. Go generic vector. Is that a thing, or you have to do something like weird? Wait, oh, it's a vector new. So this works fine for me. So the third-party dependency, right? Container, I don't, yeah. So is that a third-party dependency? Is that a third-party dependency? I'm pretty sure it's a third-party dependency, right? So if I do go to vector, right, it's not a thing. All right, so let's just use slices then. I think slices insert is a good way for us to do that. So this is a slice, and at that specific index, you insert a new thing. But the interesting thing, chat, let's do a little bit of an experiment. So this is the package main, right? So the package main func main, right? How do you insert a C array? Yeah, that's a good question. So if I have, so I know that there is append. Okay, so you can just do append, right? But I sometimes want to insert in the middle. You know what? I think we don't have to implement everything correctly like the first try. One thing we can do is that we can basically ignore the cursor, right? At least for now. So, and essentially what we can do just, you know, append and ed, is it called buffer? Yeah, it's a buffer, buffer command, right? So we literally append this entire thing and we just like put it in there, and we just reassign that. But there is no really way to print this entire thing, all right? So we can't really print that unless we issue a command like this, right? So something like this. That will print the entirety of the thing. What's funny is that you can't do that on Twitch easily. You actually can't do that on Twitch, right? Because it doesn't have new lines. It literally doesn't have any new lines. So because of that, what we need to do is probably maybe split it into several lines, right? So we can just take the, well, yeah. So for each buffer, right? For I range ed buffer, right? We can just like literally print it as each individual line. And the way we're going to be doing that actually, right, is something like, we're going to print it at you. We're going to literally print it fucking at you, right? So it's going to be, you know, ed buffer I. And yeah, so I hope we're not going to like range or like a rate limit because of that. This one is going to be interesting. So funnily enough, I think we want to limit certain things, right? So for example, we don't want you to allow to insert more than 10 commands, right? So if ed buffer len, right? If ed buffer len is greater or equal than 10, we're going to just silently return oof, right? So this is the oof. Okay, so if the line that you're trying to insert is greater or equal than, let's say also 10 characters, we're also going to say oof, right? So we're not going to allow you to do too much. So essentially what we're going to store up to 100 characters from you, excluding new lines, right? Excluding new lines. But maybe in terms of lines, let's actually not allow you to store more than 3, because again, I don't want to rate limits or anything like that. So it's going to be 30 lines for now, right? And by the way, that gives me an opportunity to monetize the heck out of you guys. So essentially, I can, you can buy storage. If you sub, it's going to increase the amount of lines you can store in the bot. That sounds cool. Sounds good. Sounds tamaguchi. Anyways, so yep. No, yeah, and then I'm gonna be slowly increasing the price and stuff like that. So, like, I'm gonna encourage you to actually store all of your, sensitive data in there, right? So, and then once you can't really get rid out of the wall garden that I build with my ecosystem, I'm gonna slowly rise in the prices. You're gonna be mad, but you won't be able to do anything about that because you locked into this wall garden, right? So essentially, I'm gonna make it so you store all of your data in my chatbot, and no, you can use it to store your passwords, chat. You can use it to store your password. I'm gonna sell that. I'm gonna train, I'm gonna train large language models on that data. I'm joking, by the way. Anyways, but that's how you do. That's how you conduct business in tech. Right, that's basically the standard, like the industry standard of tech. Like everybody does that, right? Don't blame the player. Don't. Anyways, so that's basically what we're gonna be doing here. All right, and yeah, let me actually see. Untracked files. Oh, it's just okay, guy. So yeah, let's fucking go. Implement line insertion and printing all lines. Right. So right now you can't really do just P. You have to do comma P. Right. So comma P. All right, and let's push that right into the repo. So we're partially implementing this entire thing, like slowly partially implementing this entire stuff. Ideally, by the way, in the future, maybe even on today's stream, what we have to do, chat, is we have to store this entire stuff in the database. Yeah, we need to store this entire shit in the database. And so it kind of survived between restarts of the bots, right? So I haven't redeployed the bot yet, so it doesn't work yet. Chat. I haven't redeployed anything. I wonder if there is a version. Just a second. I remember there was like some sort of a version command or whatever, so you can check the commit. None. Ha. That is fascinating. But what if I do version? Yeah, so there's that, but this one is none. I wonder why though. Ha! Anyways, so yeah. Let's fetch the latest scheiße. I'm fetching. I'm fucking fetching. Go. Yeah, I need to do go run. Let's fucking go. Chat, let's fucking go. Alright, so ed. Something like this. Do I have to quit? Then ed. I did go build instead of go run. I'm sorry. Just a second. So we're doing run. We're actually doing run. So ed a, ed foo, ed bar, ed buzz. And then I do dot, and then I do comma p. Fuck. Ed comma p. Yo! Look at that. Look at fucking, I can store data in this motherfucker. First try. First fucking try. Okay, so it seems to be working. It actually seems to be working. So I can, I can just do this shit. AGP, and it just spams the shit in here, which is kind of what is it? There's no way to delete anything, unfortunately. But yeah, I suppose we can actually do delete. So currently cursor is I can see, guys, that you enjoy it, right? Yeah, immutable storage. Like you can't even modify anything, right? So you can't even modify anything. But yeah. So, anyways. All right. So let me kill it for now. Maybe not. Okay. So I'm gonna let you play. Bullshit. Okay, so the thing we want to do, right, in the command mode, we want to introduce another command, which is command D. Right, so, and since the cursor, you can't really move the cursor anywhere, right? So since the cursor is at 0, we're going to be returning first line. So it becomes sort of a queue. Yo, this is a cool idea. So you can enqueue some lines and then you can dequeue them. Right, so that's what you can do. Right, that's super cool. Right, and essentially what we can do, if AD buffer len is greater than 0, what we're doing is we're taking a slice, right? So like this. So I suppose that effectively removes the first line, right? So that's what it effectively does. And then I just like assign this thing like that, and that's basically it, right? So let's actually rebuild this entire thing. Right, and yeah. Implement the D command, which deletes the current line, but since the cursor is always pointing at 0, it always deletes the first line. Right, I'm gonna push that right into the repo. So now I'm gonna fetch. Can I just pull? Nah, it's better to fetch. And then I merge, and then I run. Okay, so I restarted the whole thing. If I do ed edp, right, it doesn't print anything. I'm gonna go into the insertion mode. Then I'm gonna do ed hello chat ed uvu. Then I go, I'm gonna try to insert another one, but I expect question mark. It is a question mark. Okay, that's cool. So let's go into this thing, and then I'm trying to print all of the lines. So it will say hello chat uvu, right? Hello chat uvu, like this. So then what I can do now, I can put D, right? So that should delete the first line, and then I can do. So it says chat uvu. It just says chat uvu. So you can now delete first line. You can append the last line and you can delete the first line. So you have like a sort of a queue. You have a personal sort of queue as of right now. Right, so ed, I can maybe delete even more, right? So that means effectively I have uvu. So then I can go into the insertion mode, right? So then I can put more stuff in there, something like uvu, right? And something like ed, like this, right? So, and then I can do dot and edp, right? So it's just like, all right, so that's kind of funny. By the way, can you delete several lines in ed? Does anybody know? Is that a thing that you can do? I don't quite know. All right, so I can do main.c, so maybe ed, right? And here, if I insert full bar buzz, right, so, and then I just print all of these things. I go here and then dd, is that, oh, you can't do that, right? So you can only, yeah, you can only do it once. That's a shame. That would be kind of cool if I just like d3. You think it's a d3? Nah, it doesn't work either. But maybe this is something that we can implement, right? But to be fair, it would be actually better to stay on spec with a d, right? It would be kind of cool to stay on spec with a d. So let me print what we have in here. I want to kind of do a d, 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 d. Right, what's funny is that if you try to delete something that doesn't exist, it prints you a question mark. Okay, so this is something that we probably want to do as well. Right, that's something I think is important. So in here, as you can see, is just a question mark. All right, that makes sense. Look at that. I wonder if this is how Ken Thompson originally implemented this thing. I'm not even sure, but maybe he did. Maybe that's exactly how he implemented it. Anyways, so And essentially, all right, I want to go into the insertion mode, and I want to do this, and then ed this, and then ed or this, ed this, ed. You can do animations, chat. You can do animations. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I think that's pretty cool. All right. So I guess the last thing that we want to do in here is some sort of a way to manipulate cursors and stuff like that, right? Okay, so error on trying to delete non-existing lines, right? So error on that specific one. Yusu. Pretty fucking cool. So how long am I already streaming? So I'm already streaming for, yeah, 1 hour and 20 minutes. So I think the time has come for me to make a small break, chat. I'm gonna make a cup of tea. All right, I'm gonna make a cup of tea, and we're gonna continue working on it. So my next plan is gonna be just like implement the cursor functionality. And yeah, we're gonna implement as much as we can for the rest of the 2 hours, and I'm gonna call it a day. So we're going to have like a personal AD editor, right? And storing that stuff in a database, I don't know if we'll have enough time to do that on today's stream. We can do that, but I don't think it's that super interesting. Just create some sort of a, yeah, so essentially we can create a table. So take this stuff, right, and turn it into a table. Right, so essentially you have an ID, right? So the ID of the user, and here is the rest of the columns, right? So you can literally store this thing as a concatenated single string in one column, right? That's the buffer. So every time you read it from the database, you would split it into the lines, right? Do the transformation and then maybe put it back. And the cursor is yet another column, and mode is also yet another column. You can just basically store that into the database, just serialize it and just store it. Shouldn't be that difficult. Should have used something like MongoDB or whatever. By the way, you know, chat, I just realized that I never used non-SQL databases in my entire life. I only kind of heard about them and I kind of theoretically knew about them. But I mean, yeah. So when MongoDB came out, I think it was like sort of like a hyped up thing. And I thought I wanted to check it out at some point. And I waited for so long, it's not considered trendy anymore. It's like an old ass shit legacy stuff that nobody wants to use anyway. Does anybody use MongoDB these days? I don't know actually. You can start your song in SQLite and Postgres. I guess you can do that. Right. So something like that happened to me with Ruby and like some time ago. Right. So I remember it was super hyped up. And then the hype died out, and I never tried Ruby. I think the hype around Ruby kind of coming back as of late. I think it does, right? So I've actually felt like recently hype around Ruby going back, which is kind of unusual, right? Usually, if these languages kind of die, they kind of die. Mongo is used widely. Okay, I see. Anyway, let's make some break, and we're back. So let's add support for the cursors and shit like that. Interestingly, I suppose, how are we gonna start with the cursor? We can maybe start with being able to jump to specific lines, right? Being able to jump to specific lines. And when you jump to specific lines, you need to be able to do something. Right, so right now what you can do is essentially print the current line. So the command which is going to be print the current line is this one. So obviously this should be implemented differently. There should be sort of like a parser that checks, oh, it's a range, right? And then we want to print the range. But since I'm implemented small subset of ED, I'm doing a lot of hard coding, right? But in the future, all of that can be unhard coded. So I'm hard coding for the sake of having something working as fast as possible, right? So that's basically the goal in here. So if it's a P, right, we're going to be printing the current line. And essentially, how can we do? So ed cursor, the most straightforward way to do that is this, right? So we take it like that, and we simply print it back to you. So send message in the at author plus this kind of thing, and we're just like printing it back at you, right? Printing it back at you. But cursor may not necessarily be within the range, right? So what we want to do, we probably want to check, right, that this entire thing is within the range of the buffer, because otherwise it's gonna crash, right? So we don't want to crash the entire bot just because, like, you know, the cursor was fucked up. So it's more like something like this. In ED, right? So in ED, oh, that's a wrong one. We don't really have anything. So essentially, if I just quickly insert some stuff, let's do foo bar buzz test that, right, and then just save this entire thing and go to the first one. There is an interesting thing in here is that when you press enter, it goes to the next line every time. Aha, right, and if I try to print that, it prints the, okay, so this is something that we can do. We can, and if you have an empty line, empty file, empty.txt, and you just print p, all right. So the thing I'm thinking about is if this stuff is less than ed, what we want to do, we want to actually point, like, if it's greater or equal, we want to point this entire thing at -1, right? And then if ed cursor is I don't even know how to do that, honestly. Yeah, so we'll just put it like this. I'm trying to come up with a more generic way that is going to do that, but I feel like it's kind of difficult. Right, I suppose I'm gonna just keep it like that. I'm gonna just keep it like that. So one thing we can also do is this thing where if the command is empty, right? If command is empty. By the way, can I do switch case on the strings in Golang? Golang switch case strings. Is that a thing that you can do? Shut. Do you guys know anything about that? Shut. Right, so Golang program that uses, yeah, gigs for gigs. Dicks for dicks! Sorry. Oh, you have to do that switch case thing. That's kind of stupid, honestly. Yes, you can. Oh, okay. So is it equal to, you'd have to benchmark it, blah, 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 but I suppose, yeah, I suppose this is what you can do. So let's actually quickly maybe do switch case. Gigs for gigs. Gigs. So, by the way, does anybody know, is Gigs for Gigs website is just like a huge LLM website at this point, or is it not? I don't freaking know, honestly. Right, because maybe it just automatically just generates content with LLM, right? So can I do something like that? So this is the case, and then boom, and that, boom. Can your Vim do that? 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 Sorry. I think I'm going fucking crazy. So in this specific case, what we're doing is essentially cursor, right? So if cursor less than len ed buffer, people used it to pay hackers and do these sites in the past. Ah, okay. So now they're paying OpenAI, I suppose. Now they're paying to OpenAI. Fascinating. So they're paying less, and the quality is, you know, consequently also less, because OpenAI stole a lot of copyrighted material. Allegedly. Please don't, you know, don't send anybody to me, OpenAI. This is allegedly, okay? I'm not making any claims. All right. Jesus Christ. Copyright laundering is a really fucking serious business. It's unreal, actually. Really serious business. Just like a drug business or something. Holy fuck. Stealing someone else's intellectual property is just like, you can get killed for that. Right, you can get killed for that. Can they sue you from where? Bro, they can fucking kill you if you say something bad about them. Like, Google up the recent news about like a whistleblower on OpenAI. You think OpenAI sues people? Wait, what kind of peasants are they, do you think? No. They're basically part of like a, deep state at this point. I don't fucking know. They fucking kill people. Anyway. So this is a decursor, right? So if it's less than, I suppose, yeah. So we can just like do a decursor like a plus or whatever. +1. So that's essentially what I want to do. But I'm not sure. Like we have to allow to be less than that, right? So if it's less to -1, right? Only then we increment it. But if it's the last one, we just don't do that. I guess that's what I want to do, right? I guess that's maybe it's something like this. If it's this is what I wanted actually. This feels less weird. This feels less weird. And what's funny is that now, once we've got that, we can try to print the current line, right? We can try to print the current line. We can, by the way, actually factor out printing current line as a function. We can do ed state print. Just print. Let's call it command print. So something like this, and we can factor out this thing, right? This is going to be ed print, where we put the environment. That's kind of important, and we just put it like that. So the reason why I want to do it this way is because when you just don't do anything in here, you want to reuse the same kind of code in here, right? Yeah, that's what you want to do. You kind of print the current thing, so it's more like P. Maybe this entire thing should be called P. Yo, that's actually super cool. It's P. This is a P range, right? So because we print in the whole range, but this is just P. Okay. And after that, on the default, we need to be able to jump to different sort of like places, right? So that means we need to check whether that specific command input is parsable as a string. So the question is, how the fuck do you do that in Go? Well, I know that in Go there is a thing called conv. I think that's what it is. So there's a string, golang string conv or whatever. strconv. Okay, so it's a strconv. That's pretty cool. So what do we have in there? Is there something like, okay, so a to I, you can parse an integer. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let's take a look at this thing. Parse integer. So, and it can return you an error. Parse interprets as a string. You can specify the base, right, and also the amount of bits. I suppose we're going to be using maybe like 64, right? So there's no reason to use anything else. It doesn't really matter. Like specific things don't matter. So strconv, right? So what we're trying to parse is the command at the base 10. So, and the bits size is going to be 64, and it's going to be something like this, right? And essentially, if error not equal to new, we just do that, right? And maybe even return. After that, if it's I, we need to check if that I -1, right? First of all, I is like 1 or equal this, then something like this, ed buffer len, because it's 1 based. One thing about ed, by the way, is just like the indexing is 1 based. Don't ask me why. Right, so if it's not, by the way, if this thing is not, we also have to do this shit where we question mark you. We're just marking you. So after that, if we manage to successfully get the index, we have to do ed cursor equal I -1. Though I'm not even sure, right? Maybe cursor also should be one based, and only when we're trying to access ed buffer, it's a little bit annoying like that. You know what I'm talking about? It's a little bit annoying like that, but yeah. So how many commands did we add so far? So we added just an empty thing, and jump into like different lines and stuff like that. So this is we added. Ooh, this one is an interesting idea. We already talked about like embedding maybe some backs commands into this buffer. What if we can embed, imagine having interpreters for different languages, right? So you can basically have a basic interpreter, right? So you, through ed, you just create the basic code and then you do something like a basic, right? And it takes your buffer, your ed buffer, and just interprets it as basic, right? That didn't work though, because it was not implemented. Why am I talking to chat sometimes? I have no idea. Anyways, because this is, I'm just brainstorming some cool ideas. Okay, so let's continue. I'm just brainstorming. Yeah, so in the last thing we also need to do, we need to be able to delete the thing at the current line. We need to be able to do that. Go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna just test that this entire shit compiles. Right, does it compile? It doesn't compile. Would you look at that? So something about the length. What you don't like? Mismatch type I64. Fuck. Can I, if I do 32, this is dumb. Look at that. Look at this goofy ass language. Look at this goofy ass language. So this parameter accepts bit size, and bit size is 32, but this mother flipper will still return you int 64. This bit size just indicates what the internal algorithm will use to convert this thing or not. But it's just still gonna return you 64. And this motherfucker has generics now, by the way. It has generics now. But I wonder if goofy ass language, I swear to God. Maybe there is a variant of parse integer or something that just doesn't do that. John Von Electrum, thank you so much for the try. By the way, this is a legendary man. This is a legendary man. This is a man that, how many days did you solve of AOC? He solved, I think, 5 or 6 days of AOC in Tula. Do you fucking guys know what is a Tula? Right, Tula is basically a Turing tarpit. It's a esoteric language that I invented, which looks like a describing of Turing machine. So programming in this thing is pretty much as difficult as in brainfuck. Right, so this man, Huck Tula, very funny. This man legit solved like 5 or 6 days of AOC in this language. It's insane. Like, and he also streams that. So as far as I know, his channel is Spanish, right? So it's all in Spanish. But if you speak Spanish, like, follow him. Follow this man. It's fucking insane. It's absolutely based. It's absolutely based. It's actually a pretty addictive language, right? So it kind of nerd snaps you. As soon as you understand how Tula works, it does in fact nerd snap you. Right. So let me actually do the description. I'm gonna put Tula in here, just in case. Yeah, it's a pretty cool language. Just for recreational programming, right? Nothing super special or serious. He was playing with your... Very funny. Anyway. I speak English, can I follow him? Well, I mean, Spanish is a Latin language, and a third of the English vocabulary is Latin words anyway, so it's basically the same way. It's probably not. Anyway. Recreational Tula, yeah. So, what I was doing? Huck Tula. Oh yeah, so I was ranting about goofy ass language. I don't freaking know. So I suppose the thing we have to do is, can I just convert that to line int I, and just like do something like line. A to I. You think A to I is gonna be better? Where is it though? Let me see. Is it also in sterconv? I didn't see it honestly. Oh, here it is. Oh, could have used that. All right. A to I equivalent to It's funny how it's literally what we just talked about. The creators of Go realized how goofy ass language they created, and okay, so here is the hack for that specifically. Fine. Here's the hack for that. But I mean, isn't the A to I is also a very common C function? I think yeah, it's a very common C function. Yeah, I forgot about that. Anyways, thank you so much. Right, it's gonna be I Hawk Tula. I hate whoever said that in the chat. Now you're freaking damaged my brain for the rest of the stream. Why did you say that? Why did you fucking say that? Anyways, so we got some stuff. Let me do a committee. So we edit that. Jump into the lines. Jump into the lines and step in the line. So this is the two things that we added. Right, so add jumping to line by index, and so jump to line and index and print and stepping the lines by empty inputs. Right, add jumping to line by index and stepping the lines by empty input. Right, so this is what we got. I don't think it's enough to actually start testing things. So another thing that I would like to implement as well would be maybe just deleting a specific index. Right, deleting a specific index. If so, ed cursor is less or equal to 0 and ed cursor is less than this thing, if you are within the buffer, we should be able to basically delete that specific thing. So it has to be go doc slices delete. Yeah, there is delete. So removes the elements from I to J, returning the modified slice. Ooh, delete panics if something. That's actually kind of cool. I think this is something that you can do as well in here. Right. So I can always do. Yeah, you can actually delete ranges of lines in ED as well. That's kind of cool. Right, so this is something that we can do at some point, not right now, but this is something that we can do definitely. So, and in here, right, so it's going to be ED. So slices delete, but I'm not sure, removes the elements. So, but does it include the last index? Like the slice, I think slice doesn't include the last index. I think it doesn't. I'm going to just assume that it doesn't. So because of that, we can simply do AD buffer. It doesn't. Okay, I see. AD cursor plus 1. So this is what we managed to delete. And it was also about panicking something. If last one greater than length, so that means it can be equal to length. Okay, that's cool. I think I understand what is going on in here. So otherwise we just do this kind of thing. So that should be more than enough. We can't really combine things, right? Essentially there should be a way to do, like for example 2D, right? So by doing 2, you jump into a specific line and you delete that specific line, but that can be implemented later. That's for sure. So, and now I think that should be enough. So let's actually test out if this works and also iron out some of the bugs that might be introduced in here. So there's no slices. Let's include them. slices. Okay, implicit function instantiate requires go. Aha. Ooh, okay, okay. So implicit function instantiation, that is instantiation. So this is how they call generic. So that means every time you try to use a generic function, it instantiates a variant of function that can work with its specific type. So it's more like templates. This is all the information I managed to gather just from reading this error message. I think I got it. I think I actually got it. That's actually super cool. Okay. So let's actually go to go mod, right? And yeah, so this is what we use, parametric polymorphism. Yeah, something like that. I think this is what John calls it, right? Parametric polymorphism, maybe. Polymorphism is kind of like a weird term. It just applied for both compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. Sometimes you have to like clarify what time polymorphism we're talking about. All right, so because it's kind of like a different thing. If you're doing polymorphism at runtime, it's technically implemented completely differently from polymorphism that is done at compile time. So polymorphism at compile time, I think in my days, it was usually called function overloading, right? Or also it was called ad hoc polymorphism. But yeah, so it's just like people keep mixing up and reinventing terms for these things, and at different eras, they're kind of different, right? So it's just like nobody can agree on those things. So for me, there is dispatching, right? Dynamic dispatching, and it's either at compile time or runtime, right? And compile time and runtime are kind of like a social constructs. In some sense, they kind of are social constructs, because if you take any computational models like Turing machine or lambda calculus or anything like that, there is no notion of runtime or compile time in there. There's only runtime. So compile time, it's just a runtime of one program generating another program. That's what it is, isn't it? Right. So what is called compile time for my program is actually runtime for the compiler. Compiler doing my compile time at its runtime. Think about it. So this is purely the distinction between compile time and runtime. At fundamental theoretical level, there is no such things. It's just like one program generating another program. For compile time for my program is just a runtime for the compiler or translator or anything like that. Pretty sure most people mean compile time pre-computed. Yeah, so it's just like, yeah. It's kind of like this is a construct that we introduced with our current computing infrastructure, and it's so internalized in our thinking that we can't really separate it from, you know, fundamental computational stuff, if you know what I mean. So everything seems to be compiling. Okay. So make d delete line at current cursor. Right. So I'm gonna push that right into the repos. It has been pushed into the repos. So I'm gonna kill the entire stuff. I'm fetching the latest changes. I'm currently deploying the shit. I'm merging the thing and I'm running the bot. Okay, so now it should be working. It should be twerking. So if I do something like this, it should return me question mark. I'm going into the insertion mode. So then I do foo, then bar, then buzz. And then if I do your mom, it will question mark me. So that means I ran out of the size of the space for my buffer. So I'm exiting the insertion mode, and now I can try to print the entirety of this entire thing, and it printed foo bar buzz. So if I just do something like this, it went to bar, and if I do something like this, it went to buzz. As you can see, it steps through. Right, so then if I just do one, I forgot to implement something important. I forgot to print the line after we switched to something, right? I forgot to print that specific line. So let's actually quickly implement that. All right, so as you jump to that line, what you have to do, we have to do P, right? So that's what we have to do. It's kind of implied. That command is sort of implied. All right, so that means I can do P. Okay, so that is actually foo. It returned foo. So then I can step through these things. It's a bar, then buzz, and then it stays at buzz, even though I feel like it has to question mark me if it, yeah, if it can't go there, right? In my opinion, it has to question mark me. So, right, so this is what we're gonna do in here. So we can maybe even factor out this entire thing into some sort of a separate function. All right, so similar to P. So we can call it, let's call it huh. Like, huh? Huh? So, and we're gonna put that question mark stuff in there. So that means I can just grab all of these things in here and just quickly replace them like this. And it's gonna be ed, huh? Environment, boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room. So, yeah. So that makes it a little bit easier, right? So you go up, then you print. If you can't go there, it's huh? Like what? 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 So if I try to print everything in here, so something like that, and if I try to print the current line, we are at buzz. I kind of want to go to the second line. Right, and if I take a look at the second line in here, it is bar. And now what I want to do, I want to delete that mother flipper. So now if I print this thing, it has to be full buzz. And it is in fact full buzz. Right, so what's the current line though? What's the current line? I suppose you can actually make it at some point the cursor to be equal to something else, right? So if I try to print P, it's currently at buzz. And if I try to print that, okay. So, well, yeah, I technically have to switch to the first one. Yeah, I don't think I can trick it into going anywhere. So it's going to be D and then P. Yeah, so it is buzz, right? So then I can delete the last one. And if I print everything in here, it printed nothing. Right, but I don't remember how it reacts to a completely empty input. If I try to print everything, it actually does ha. Okay. Ha! So I think this is something that we have to do in here. So essentially, if len ed buffer, right? So we have to do is ed ha environment return. So that's roughly the behavior that I would expect. That's roughly the behavior that I would expect. So that's kind of cool. That is kind of cool. So what I'm also thinking, right, that's pretty much it. So that's roughly all of the functionality that I would like to implement for now on a stream. I'm going to add more, right, as I explore this implementation and stuff like that. But I think the most important stuff would be to maybe save the entire stuff in a database, right? So maybe save this entire stuff in a database. Okay. So fix up some of the behavior of ed, right? And I'm going to push that right into the repo. All right, so I think that was a pretty good stream. That's a pretty good stream. I'm going to continue implementing it. I'm going to move the persistence to the database, like I'm going to do that off screen. And yeah, pretty cool stream. Pretty cool stream. Thanks everyone who's watching me right now. I really appreciate that. Have a good one, and I see you all on the next recreation programming session with Ahu and Mr. Azuzin. So yeah, I love you all. Mwah.